I'm the way.
Do you call yourself a true fan of the maestro of horror, aka Clive Barker? Well, consider today's video a treat from one fan to another. See, when it comes to the work of Barker, his indulgent and maybe also add intriguing horror masterpieces are usually known to people worldwide. And while there's certainly no denying that his most famous creation happens to be the leader of the Cenobites, more popularly known as the nightmarish Pinhead, we cannot disregard the solitary fact that Barker has a myriad of unforgettable immersive characters from surreal hellish worlds right at his disposal. Here are 11 of Clive Barker's most terrifying and deadliest movie villains, in no particular order. Are you ready? Let's dive straight into the video then. But before we get into our explanation, we do have one very small request. If you enjoy our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Now let's begin.
I want to hear him confess himself. Then, maybe...
Pinhead, Hellraiser franchise. Well, of course we had to begin with this. We know we said earlier that our list is in no particular order, but it's only fair that we begin with Barker's categorically famous creation, Pinhead. The leader of the extra-dimensional, grotesque-looking, sadomasochistic beings, also known as Cenobites, is hands down beyond any terror that one could possibly imagine. The fact that he simply cannot be stopped, and add to this that he's capable of inflicting unimaginable amounts of pain, makes Pinhead even more terrifying, while simultaneously also giving us a peep into the very twisted mind of Barker. Believe us when we tell you that there is something super unsettling about that blank-faced excitement Pinhead has, especially when it comes to flaying people alive. Inevitably, reigning supreme in the pantheon of horror movie icons, Pinhead is seen maintaining a detached air of terror ever since the character made his live-action debut in the 1987 movie Hellraiser, based on Barker's 1986 horror novella titled The Hellbound Heart. Well, you'll be surprised to learn that the bedwettingly scary Pinhead, whose favorite weapons happen to be knives, hooked chains, and barbed blades, wasn't always the despotic immortal priest of hell. His origin story, before becoming a Cenobite, is exceptionally normal, and he went by the name of Elliot Spencer. Spencer served himself as a captain in the British Expeditionary Force, and lost his faith in humanity and God after witnessing many of his comrades die horrible deaths during World War I. Suffering from the severe effects of PTSD, Spencer indulged in a hedonistic lifestyle, eventually encountering the lament configuration and comprehending the true pleasures of pain and suffering. Candyman franchise. Don't believe in urban legends? Well, we dare you to look into the mirror and utter the name Candyman 5 times. Take a hint from us, it's not going to be pretty at all. Truth be told, Candyman is Clive Barker's take on the Bloody Mary legend, but with a twist, of course. Instead of a ghostly figure appearing behind you, you will have Candyman making an appearance, one who has his ribcage wreathed in bees and a hook instead of a right hand, with which he loves to butcher his victims. Often addressed as one of the most pitiless murderers created by Barker, this hook-handed slasher has quite a fascinating origin story, involving slavery and forbidden love, for that matter. Before he became the Candyman, Daniel Robitaille was the son of a slave who grew up well-schooled, and eventually became an acclaimed painter. However, things took a horrendous turn for him when he fell in love and impregnated the daughter of a rich white client. The girl's father sent a lynch mob to attack Daniel, and they killed him in the grisliest manner. They cut off his right hand, stripped him naked, and smeared him with honey, after which a swarm of bees attacked him. Well, it's only fitting to state that Daniel died an agonizing death, and the rest, as you know, is history. Portrayed by the late Tony Todd, Candyman taps into our darkest fears with his poetic voice, his constant attempts at mind control, and dare we disregard that eerie ability of his to float horizontally.
It's quicker that way.
Dr. Decker, Nightbreed, 1990. Say hello to Philip K. Decker, also known as Dr. Decker, who happens to be the central antagonist of Clive Barker's dark fantasy horror flick, Nightbreed, which, in case you didn't know, is based on his 1998 horror novella, Cabal. The film has the OG generator of the body horror genre, Dave Cronenberg, essaying the role of Decker, a sophisticated and prestigious psychotherapist who everybody believes. But beneath that charismatic exterior lies a sadistic, masked serial killer who simply relishes in ripping whole families to pieces. Decker's primary mission is to put an end to all other lives, and he attempts to do that by donning a creepy sack-like mask that has a zip at the mouth and 2 buttons as eyes. Believe us when we tell you that Decker is pure evil, and he has even admitted to enjoying his murderous spree, especially killing the children. The psychotic Decker does not go for the straight kill. Instead, he likes to enjoy inflicting slow, painful deaths on his victims, bodies and leaving them beyond recognition at the end of the day. What makes him even more heinous is the fact that he actually takes pleasure in taking away lives, and doesn't feel the slightest bit of remorse in doing so. Decker is not only driven by the pure urge to murder, but he's also completely conscious when he's at it, and somehow tends to feel superior after taking a life. Decker's genocidal nature has made him go to extreme lengths, especially his grudge against the monsters from Midian. Therefore, he sure as hell shouldn't be treated lightly at all. Rawhead Rex. Rawhead Rex 1986. Those who have read Barker's short novel, also titled Rawhead Rex, are aware of how sinful and categorically distressing the story actually is. From having a ravenous appetite for devouring small children, and hating women, to having sexual issues, and even urinating on priests, these are the notorious traits that give more depth to the malicious character of Rawhead Rex. Boasting superhuman strength, the hideous-looking pagan deity can very easily tear through flesh, and even go to the extent of ripping his victims apart. Speaking of George Pavlou's 1986 British fantasy horror flick, it has the primeval carnivorous creature with an insatiable thirst for blood, turning vans topsy-turvy, shrugging off bullets like it's no big deal, and even surviving a massive explosion from a gas tank. If you're wondering how this monster looks, well, his description in the original story varies from what is depicted in the movie to a massive extent. In the film, Rawhead Rex is quite tall and has a dirty brown skin tone. His head and chest remain mostly exposed all the way down to his abs. His eyes are always red and glowing, and you can't disregard that messy mohawk hairdo. Speaking of his teeth, they resemble that of a lion, and they're always bloody. He also has a thing for puncturing the jugular artery of his victims using his sharp fangs. It's fitting to state that Rawhead Rex lives up to the movie tagline. He is pure evil, pure power, pure terror. Also, unlike Barker's original story, the malevolent feral creature symbolizing masculine aggression is seen alive at the end of the movie. Mahogany, the Subway Butcher, The Midnight Meat Train 2008. It's no joke when we tell you that the labyrinth of subway tunnels underneath the busy streets of New York City is custom made for horror stories. Now add to this, Mahogany, a serial killer in pursuit of fresh meat, who usually finds his victims on late-night subway trains. Sound spooky enough? Well, long before Japanese director Ryuhei Kitamura came up with this 2008 horror film, it was Barker who went way beyond the mundane serial killing and introduced a whole different aspect with The Father of Fathers in his short story. If you want us to cover Baker's Books of Blood separately, do hit us in the comments section, but for now, let's have our focus back on the Subway Butcher featured in the film. Actor Vinnie Jones stars as Mahogany, who is seen mercilessly committing brutal acts of murder on subway lines. When we say brutal, we mean hacking open victims' bodies and hanging them on meat hooks. Mahogany has been carrying out these horrid killings for a long time, and his job each night is to feed the reptilian creatures residing in a cavernous abandoned station, and keep them from attacking the subway riders during the day. In the film, Mahogany is seen swiftly delivering the killing blows, after which he strips the bodies of all their clothes, intricately shaves them and hangs them by their feet, using hooks on the subway holding handles. The movie graphically shows how Mahogany removes the teeth, nails, and eyeballs of the murdered passengers. The gory procedure is done mainly so that the dead victims can be served as meat to the underground beasts, and in turn, keep their plans of overthrowing humankind at bay for as long as possible. To think that the big bad butcher is actually doing everything to conserve the peace between the monstrous creatures and the human race feels downright creepy and disgusting. Chatterer, Hellraiser franchise. There has not really been any dearth of twisted, hellish creatures when it comes to the demented world of the Cenobites. True, Chatterer might not be as celebrated as Pinhead, but this fan-favorite character in the Hellraiser franchise surely looks at least 10 times deadlier than the leader of the Cenobites. As seen in the original movie, Chatterer was one of the Cenobites that came to Earth to reclaim the escaped Frank Cotton. And while the character was briefly described in the novella The Hellbound Heart, the moment his eyeless face makes its live-action debut, he became an instant horror fan favorite. Originally a child and an orphan from the late 19th century, Jim was pulled into the labyrinth and subjected to an extreme form of scarification. To begin with, he doesn't exactly have a face as such. What he has for a face looks like a mass of burned skin that covers both his eyes and nose. His mouth is stretched open by 8 hooks, digging deep into the sides, which, in turn, has his teeth exposed pretty much all the time. Like his fellow Cenobites, he's always seen clad in black leather, and add to this, Chatterer even has his own special way of communicating, which is by constantly clicking together his teeth. Leroy Gom, Nightbreed 1990. If you ask us, it's always the villain with the least amount of dialogue that tends to stand out the most. But that's not the reason why Leroy Gom has made it to our list today. This overweight Nightbreed here is eerily notable for that 24/7 smile on his face, and dare we disregard those long retractable tentacles sliding out of his bulky stomach every now and then, and lovingly placing themselves around his neck. Oh, in case we forgot, Leroy is also seen resorting to using his tentacles to gouge out people's eyes as well. As a tertiary character with just a few scenes in the film, there's not exactly much to know about Leroy, especially in terms of the character's backstory. But then again, Leroy simply manages to steal the spotlight by being persistently unnerving. From being repulsively filthy to extremely knowledgeable, Leroy ticks all the boxes. And to top things off, he also likes to wear a lot of vulgar golden jewelry. It's fitting to state that Leroy's appearance and demeanor have caught a lot of attention amongst the fans over the years, and there's just no denying that. The Yattering. The Yattering and Jack. The Yattering might be a 3.5-foot tall snarling horned demon, but he sure as hell cannot be treated lightly. To begin with, he's an absolute menace, one that's hell-bent on claiming the soul of the happy-go-lucky pickle salesman Jack Polo. From constantly moving furniture, destroying cushions and damaging doors, to slamming rods into paintings and making them fall off the walls, and also boiling to death his pet fishes, the Yattering subjects Jack to increasingly severe torment. But Jack is determined not to let anything dampen his Christmas spirit. While a treaty between God and Satan has prohibited the Yattering from touching Jack, the miniature demon further goes to extreme lengths, such as demonically possessing a featherless turkey and making it land on top of a Christmas tree. Wish we could say that we're joking here, but those of you who have seen this particular episode of George A. Romero's horror anthology TV series, Tales from the Dark Side, will know we're not kidding at all. And that's not all either. The Yattering even makes the Christmas tree come alive by making it twirl around rapidly and simultaneously throwing the gifts under the tree at Jack. While in the end, the Yattering gets the penalty for touching Jack and becomes his slave for the rest of his life, his attempts to drive Jack to insanity and despair cannot be overlooked at all. Dr. Channard, aka The Doctor, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, 1988. It's not easy to stand out as a villain in a world of fetish demons. Plus, when the movie already has Pinhead, it's kind of hard to be distinct. Enter Dr. Philip Channard, as he manages to do just fine. Dr. Channard, as seen in the sequel to Hellraiser, happens to be another madman who's obsessed with the lament configuration. His obsession with the puzzle box leads him to buy the mattress on which Christy Cotton's stepmother Julia had died, and he's even seen going to great lengths to bring Julia back to life. After resurrecting Julia, both are seen heading to hell, where Julia betrays him and has him transformed into a Cenobite. During his transformation, many wires are pushed against his head from one corner to the other, and as a Cenobite, Dr. Channard has a large phallic tentacle gripping the top of his head and holding it aloft. He can also shoot scalpel-wielding serpents from the palms of his hands. Dr. Channard's new powers have him easily overpowering the other Cenobites, which also include Pinhead, by the way. Last but not least, his demonic voice is still capable of scaring the hell out of you. Don't believe us? Give Hellbound Hellraiser 2 a watch, and then let's have a conversation, shall we? Nyx, Lord of Illusions, 1995. Undoubtedly the most terrifying creep in Barker's stable happens to be Nyx, the evil sorcerer from the 1995 neo-noir supernatural horror film, Lord of Illusions. Well, when you have an ironwork mask nailed to your face and then buried in an unmarked grave, it's clear you're dangerous. And when that same someone gets resurrected after 13 years, you do realize things are gonna get pretty crazy. Also known as the Puritan, Nick possesses the power to use real magic and not mere illusions. And that's what makes him particularly scary. The ability to alter one's perception and make them see frightful things is badass, so now you have a fair idea of what we're dealing with. Add to this his ability to conjure and manipulate fire, and if these are still not enough for you, he can also levitate, but that should be the least of your worries. Pelaquin, Nightbreed, 1990. Meet the Nightbreed, who's responsible for biting Aaron Boone. Pelaquin possesses the ability to alter his already fearsome form into an even more terrifying version. He likes to fan out his dreadlocks to appear even more threatening, but if you ask us, it's when his teeth become elongated and sharper that he looks truly threatening. By simply breathing in the scent of an individual, this Nightbreed can determine whether the person is innocent or not. The slender-built, humanoid-looking creature has quite a feral appearance. It has piercing blue eyes and fleshy dreadlocks in the place of hair. While its skin tone resembles that of dried blood, his rough and hoarse voice truly complements his intimidating personality, thereby making him a total badass. Marvelous verdict. Choosing the best among Clive Barker's endless supply of monsters is definitely not an easy task. So why don't you do it for us? Which amongst the ones mentioned in our list is the most capable of scaring the living daylights out of you? We'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Well, that's all for today, and with this, we finally come to the end of our video here. Now, if you enjoy this video, you know what to do. Please do leave a thumbs up and stay tuned, as we promise to come back with even more exciting content. Till then, goodbye, and thanks for watching. Have a nice one. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.